Welcome back to Burn to Notice, the series that analyzes the actions of Michael Weston and his team. If you're new to the series, there's a link in the description to catch you up. This episode begins with Michael coming home to a team that had already broken into the loft and left to harass Maddie, who calls Michael almost immediately after arriving home, forcing Michael to rush over to her, where he finds a team busting up the place that Michael dispatches rather quickly. Then we meet the replacement for the FBI tail in Jason Bly.
I'm the new man in your life.
And Michael doesn't learn this until the end of the episode, but I feel like I can talk about him now. He is a CSS agent basically sent to piss Mike off until Mike inevitably gains the upper hand, shooing him off for at least a little bit. However, he does get some character development. Unfortunately, he is a lesser villain in the grand scheme of things. He isn't as formidable as some of the foes in later seasons. However, he is more capable than the FBI. Anyway, he threatens Mike in an attempt to make him stay away from finding out who burned him. Next, we see Mike talking to Sam at a hotel pool, debriefing about Bly's visit, and due to the fact that Bly messed up Maddie's house, Mike needs a job, and luckily, Sam has one. It's a repo job. Afterwards, Mike at the loft drives his new surveillance crazy by babbling nonsense on his phone in an attempt to figure out exactly who's following him. After that, we meet Virgil, an ex-Navy SEAL buddy of Sam's, explaining the job to Mike. However, Virgil makes this job sound super easy, but if we know anything about this show, it won't be easy. And Mike reluctantly takes the job after Bly takes the charger. Next at the marina, Mike finds the boat and comes up with his cover ID, with Sam calling the cops in order to cover Mike's story, and it helps with the acquisition of the boat, mostly because Andre's men can't shoot it out with the police around. After Mike leaves, he finds a GPS tracker that they destroy before delivering the boat. Afterwards, Michael meets up with Mason, the guy who hired Virgil in the first place. And unfortunately for Mike, he's ready to kill for that boat. However, Mike creates a distraction by setting fire to the shop, which honestly sounds like a very bad idea, considering there is a barrel of chloride directly behind him, which increases Mike's death count because he should be dead along with all of the guys. But he gets away with it, with Sam driving them to safety, where they meet up with Virgil to discuss Mason. This is when Mike puts the two and two together that they are dirty cops who have Virgil's daughter basically kidnapped by the law. After some back and forth, Mike does decide he is better off sticking with the job. However, Virgil now needs a place to stay, and of course, they stick him at Maddie's, which we see Maddie and Virgil start to get into a relationship, and while this is happening, Sam and Mike are trying to figure out what's so special about this boat. After that, we see Mike and Fee scanning the loft for bugs, and this is where Fiona hijacks the conversation to talk about their relationship, with Mike going over what happened years ago in Ireland, furthering their backstory in an organic way, and Mike does get a few things off his chest. However, they use a camera to find an optical bug, and they just so happen to find it on the first window they take a picture of. Pretty convenient, but they dispatch it rather quickly. That's when Sam finds money in the boat. The next morning, as Mike arrives at Maddie's, Maddie goes over her relationship with Virgil with Michael, which doesn't sit well with him. And I mean, anybody's a better father figure than his father, who would beat him mercilessly. But anyway, they get the money out and surmise it's $10 million in what's suspected to be drug money, forcing Mike to meet with Mason. And during this meeting, Sam and Virgil dump the boat when Andre's men ambush them, and they barely get away. While all of this is happening, Mike is talking with Mason about Mike and Andre's men all meeting together with the money. Unfortunately, Andre's men aren't keen to talk to Mike. Something about stealing their $10 million, I don't know, kind of gives them a bad taste in their mouth. Mike now has to fend off Mason long enough to set things in motion with Andre. And unfortunately, Mason is playing the ultimate card by getting Virgil's daughter arrested for some trumped up charges. And with everything going on, Mike still needs to deal with Bly and his men. So he breaks into his hotel to leave an electromagnet in order to fry Bly's laptop. Next, Virgil and Maddie go on a date, even with Mike's explicit instructions that they shouldn't leave Maddie's house. And meanwhile, Mike meets with Andre to discuss the money with Mike, and Mike learning that Andre is just a middleman, and without the money, he's sunk. No pun intended. However, Virgil spots Andre's men and retreats. He does get a few hits in until another guy subdues him and brings it to Mike's attention during that meeting. And it is a little weird that Virgil says Madeline's name on the phone, presumably in front of Andre's men, tipping them off that Virgil was with somebody else at the restaurant. I mean, he is an ex-Navy SEAL. I figured he wouldn't give out more information than he really needed to. A little weird. However, they agreed to meet up the next day for a prisoner exchange. And while Mike and Fee are loading up the money, they go over the plan for tomorrow, and that's when Bly finds out Mike broke into his hotel, and Fee follows him. The next day, Mike preps the stage for the meeting when not just Andre, but Mason shows up. However, Mike created basically a dead man switch using an accelerant and a butane torch. When tempers flare, everyone starts shooting, adding another death to Mike's count, right before Mike sets the money on fire and drives off. After all that happens, Mike, Sam, and Virgil end up back at Maddie's house to divvy up some of the money that wasn't burned up. And Virgil, relenting, his daughter is free of Mason's hold, with Mike shooing Virgil away for his and Maddie's safety. And Sam does get the charger back as a thank you for doing this job. Finally, Mike meets up with Bly at a bar, and he pisses Bly off so that he can pickpocket him, mostly to get his badge, to finally figure out who he's dealing with. This episode was a great way to introduce a new villain that is more impressive than the FBI, but also just as susceptible to Mike's games. It also introduced Virgil as a potential love interest for Maddie. However, it doesn't go very far, but it was an interesting bit of character development. Nonetheless, unfortunately, we don't learn anything new about the burn notice, and that does kind of suck because every episode you feel like you want to get more information about the burn notice. But anyway, thank you for watching, and if you want to watch the FBI agents solving crimes that are a lot better than the FBI agents in this show, watch my other series, Inside Criminal Minds. Link in the description. And as always, please like, share, and subscribe.